Hey, kids, I can't do that today. Look, folks, it's not Thursday, it's Tuesday, and yet I'm going to put up a Just Another Fanboy classic episode because if I'm 100% honest with all y'all, I didn't have a regular episode ready in time. So rather than give you nothing at all, you're going to get two episodes, two of the JAF Classic episodes this week. Today, we're going to have episode number 26, and this was originally released on Wednesday, February the 21st, 2007. And looking back at it, dang, this one took me a long time to record. I mean, with all the silly voices I did back then, it really, honestly, was not uncommon for me to finish up an episode at like 1 a.m. But this episode here that you're about to listen to, episode 26, was a bit more involved. See, if you remember this past Thursday when I put out JAF Classics episode number 25, it was, it ended on a cliffhanger where I was, quote unquote, shot in the clavicle by Norman, Oklahoma. And so because of this, I am not available, or I was not available back then to record episode 26 because I was, again, quote unquote, recovering in the hospital. And that meant that for episode number 26, Norman and Gary had to host the episode. Now, there's a bit in there with me. I still managed to do some comic book reviews from my hospital bed, but most of it is all Norman and Gary, which, good Lord, must have taken me a long time to record. I don't recall how long exactly. My memory doesn't really stretch back that far when it comes to specifics. But I'm sure I was up way past 1 a.m. the night before. And you know what? Listening back to it, the time I spent on this one 15 years ago, totally worth it. Totally worth it. So here you go, folks. Enjoy.
Previously on Just Another Fanboy.
Norman will be coming in later to do the view from Norman, Oklahoma. I believe he's going to talk about deer. I don't know what that's all about. He's been carrying a gun around all week. Let's end the segment with a little view from, the episode.
Yeah.
With the little view from Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I have to go have a talk with him before I head back about carrying around a gun.
Ladies and gentlemen, Norman, Oklahoma.
Be wary. The deer are out there.
All right, I'm back. How'd it go without me?
Ah! What the heck? Oh man, I think I just shot Steeven in the face.
What'd you go and do that for?
I just talked to the ambulance driver. It doesn't look fatal.
Oh, good.
Looks like I shot him in the clavicle.
The clavicle?
So he's probably gonna be out for a week.
A week? What about next week's episode?
Oh no.
Just like a comic book. Just like a comic book. Just like a comic book. Just like a comic book.
Welcome to episode number 26 of Just Another Fanboy. This episode was recorded on Tuesday, February the 20th, 2007. And howdy y'all, this is Gary, Indiana, filling in for Steeven. Because if you tuned in last week, you'll know that, Norman, Oklahoma, shot Steeven in the clavicle.
Why do you have to keep saying that?
Well, because you did shoot him with a gun in his clavicle, did you not? Did you not shoot Steeven in the clavicle with a gun? Kinda? What's that supposed to mean, kinda? I mean, you brought a loaded gun into Steeven's house, yes?
Yes.
And then you took that gun and you pointed it at Steeven, yes?
Yes.
And then you shot him in the clavicle.
Well,
correct? Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct, but dang it, Gary, you're making a mountain out of a molehill here. I mean, you gotta look at it from my perspective.
Your perspective? What kind of perspective would you have? You shot the man. He is currently laying in a bed in the hospital because you shot him. He could be home playing with his kids all week, but instead he has been laid up in the hospital because you, Norman, Oklahoma, took a gun and you shot the man. I mean, how do you feel about that? How does that make you feel, honestly?
Honestly, it makes me feel kind of bad.
Well, it should make you feel bad, Norman, because you almost took a man's life over a stupid paranoia.
It's not
about
stupid.
Deer.
Well,
let that sink in there just for a little bit, okay, Norman?
Okay.
Deer. You
Deer.
thought the man was a deer.
Well, they're out there, and what?
You're in the man's house, okay?
Yeah, what?
And you think that he is a deer
Well,
sneaking up on you?
he snuck up.
Does that sound sane to you, Norman?
Well, I guess if you look at it from that side, I guess it doesn't sound too, normal. But I apologize to the man. I sent him flowers. I'm the one who rode with him in the ambulance to the hospital. So just get off my back already, all right? Just get on with this stupid show.
Very, very sympathetic, Norman. All right. Well, let's get on with it. We have a lot of stuff in store for you tonight. It's going to be the same normal format of the Just Another Fanboy podcast, except for, of course, without Steeven, who, created this whole thing, who worked hard and created this wonderful podcast. So, actually, we do have a little surprise for you, because joining us on the telephone for a few moments, from his hospital bed is Steeven himself. So we've got him on the phone, and let's talk to him. Steeven, are you there, Steeven?
Hey, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you doing this.
Well, it ain't no trouble, man. I'm just glad that you're feeling better. You're feeling better, right?
I'm feeling pretty good, considering that Norman shot me and all.
Oh, whatever.
And
Whatever.
is he still pissed and moaning about that?
Yes, he is. He doesn't understand what he did was wrong. But hey, man, that's okay. I'm just glad you're feeling good, and I understand that you got a couple things to talk about here.
Yes, I do. First of all, I just want to announce I was able to get online just a little bit here in the hospital. They do have the interweb hooked up in the hospital here, and I want to announce that we have now joined the ranks of the Comics Podcasting Network. You can find that over at comicspodcasts.com. That's comicspodcasts.com. This is a great place if you're into the comic book podcast. This is a great place to go, and just you're going to get a lot of them. It's set up kind of like a blog. When anybody who's a member of the network, they get a new episode up, they post it right there. So if you check every day, you'll probably find a new podcast waiting for you to listen to. I mean, we've joined such well, let me just go down the list here. We've got Around Comics, Bullpen Bulletins, Collected Comics Library, Comic Book Noise, Comic Book Savant, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Makers, Comic News Insider, Comic Talk Cafe, Comic Timing, Comicology, Digital Strips Podcast, Geek Syndicate, Golden Age of Comics, I Read Comics, Indie Spinner Rack, Comics Cast, Guitaro's Sideshow, Meanwhile, Quiet Panelologists at Work, Raging Bullets, Variant Edition, Wednesday's Haul, and Fanboy Radio. So we, of course, don't have any episodes up there quite yet, but we'll soon be posting some episodes up there. So stop by, listen to some other shows. If you haven't heard of any of these guys, stop by and check them out.
Well, that's certainly good news. It's good to hear that we're members now. So everybody, I guess, listen to Steeven and check them out. Now, you got some comics. Is that correct, Steeven?
Yes, I got some comics. This is the first month I'm getting my books through DCBS twice a month now. So I got my first shipment for February just the other day, and my wife was kind enough to bring them into the hospital for me to read, and I read through a couple of them, and I know it's not normally the part in the show, I guess. I don't know where you guys are sticking this, but it's probably not normally the part in the show where we do my comic book picks of the week, but I'd kind of like to go ahead and do that now. So if you guys want to get the music queued up, I'll kick it off with my comic book picks of the week. Okay, first up to bat from Marvel Comics, we have New Universal #3, written by Warren Ellis, with art by Salvador Larroca. Jason Keith is the colorist. Letters are by VC's Russ Wooten. The assistant editor is Daniel Ketchum, and the editor is Axel Alonso. This, as I said, is issue number 3, and this ain't your daddy's new universe. Basically, the White event happens, and certain figures within this alternate Earth are granted superpowers to a certain extent. It was actually a pretty decent issue. It was a pretty good read. I am a little put off by Salvador Larroca's use of photo reference for the characters. We've got a lot of movie stars and TV stars in here playing the part of a lot of these major characters. We've got James Cromwell in here. He's the guy from Babe, the farmer that said, "That'll do, pig, that'll do." He's in here. We've got Angelina Jolie. She's the Spitfire and the Troubleshooters girl. We got Johnny Depp in here. Heck, we've even got Nicole Kidman shows up at one point. And, of course, Bruce Willis is playing Justice. Now, not a lot happens in here. We've got Justice meets up with the guys that originally shot him. He was a cop, and he got shot. And he catches up with the bad fellas that shot him and slaughters them with these weird energy blades and slaughters them to death. Johnny Depp and Nicole Kidman, apparently, I don't know the character names, but they're in some type of relationship, and they've been excavating this archaeological site, and they found evidence of maybe alien beings with the star brand, and then of course James Cromwell and Angelina Jolie with the whole Spitfire thing. They're ramping up because they realize with this fight event they've got some superheroes messing around in all the places that they shouldn't be messing around in. So I'm enjoying the book. It's a pretty good read. I'm probably going to stick around till the end of the series because I was a big New Universe fan back in the day. I'm a little disappointed so far that we haven't seen an appearance by Cyforce or DP7. I don't know if any of those guys will show up, but as far as the favorite titles that I read of the New Universe, it was Spitfire and the Troubleshooters, Star Brand, DP7, and Cyforce. So hopefully the other two will show up at some point. But, if they don't, they don't. There's nothing I can do about it. But check it out. It's a pretty good read. I recommend it to anybody who, heck, even if you weren't fans of the New Universe back in the day, you can still read it fresh because it doesn't have a lot to do with the titles back then. Second up on my list, also from Marvel Comics, is the New Avengers number 27. This is written by Brian Michael Bendis. Artist is Lionel Yu. The color art's by Dave Craig. Letters are done by RS and Comic Crafts Albert Descenzi. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. The assistant editors are Molly Laser and Aubrey Sitterson, and the editor is Tom Brevoort. Basically, this is an issue dedicated solely to Echo. Echo, if any of you were reading the New Avengers run before Civil War, Echo was posing as a character named Ronin, and she was brought to Japan to help the New Avengers with some problems they were having with the ninjas, with the hand and whatnot. So last she talked to Captain America and the guys was they wanted her to stay there and just basically get to the bottom of the whole thing, and that's what she's been trying to do during the whole Civil War thing. At one point, Elektra and her hand assassins take her down. She's still dressed up as a man, as Ronin. They figure out who she is. They capture her and they kill her and they bring her back to life, which is what the hand does. And they're trying to brainwash her into becoming one of their soldiers, because basically her power, she has like this muscle memory power thing where she can, all she's got to do is see someone fight and she can perfectly mimic their fighting style, kind of like the Taskmaster. So she sends an email to Matt Murdock, the Daredevil, before she goes on this one last mission, stating that if he's reading this, then she's probably either dead or captured, and she needs him to come and help. So he doesn't come himself, but who should come but the New Avengers? This obviously is set post-Civil War, because we've got the New Avengers here that have Spider-Woman, Luke Cage, Spider-Man in his black costume, some other person dressed up as Ronin. We don't know who that is. That's the new big mystery, but Bendis has promised that he's not going to drag it out for very long. And Doctor Strange is in there, and Iron Fist is in there. This actually was a really fun read. I really enjoyed it. Yu's art is pretty darn phenomenal. So this actually can be a good jumping on point for the new Avengers. If you haven't been reading it thus far and you've missed out on all the Civil War tie-ins, hey, jump back in, because it's, if you've done like I did, where I got the new Avengers and stopped reading it when Civil War started, and now I'm jumping back on at the end of Civil War, it pretty much starts right back in where the last issue ended before Civil War started. So you're obviously not missing a lot. So the new Avengers, check it out. Good stuff. And that'll move me on to the last issue that I want to talk about. And it's actually another Marvel comic. It's all Marvel this week, because that's pretty much all I've read other than 52, and I've been kind of staying away from the 52 reviews. But my favorite book thus far of the year, the most anticipated book for me so far of the year. I don't think I've been looking forward to a book so much since, Madman, looking forward to the Madman. But second in line is The Dark Tower, Gunslinger Born. This is a book that was created by Stephen King from his Dark Tower books. Plotting and consultation is done by Robin Firth. She's kind of a Dark Tower expert. You find out in the kind of the foreword in here. Actually, it's the end of the book. She talks about, is she in this, or is that? No, I'm thinking of Wizard Magazine. She was Stephen King's assistant, and she helped quite a bit with the Dark Tower. When he had a big, long, if anybody's read the Dark Tower, at some point he finished a few books, and then he didn't write any for years and years. And then when he wanted to get back in the game, he had her come in and help him basically get everything together, get all the information together. And she's become pretty much a Dark Tower expert. So it's a good thing we have her on this comic. The scripting has been done by Peter David, and the beautiful, wonderful, gorgeous art is done by Jay Lee, with gorgeous colors by Richard Eisenove. Lettering has been done by Chris Eliopoulos. This was a freaking good book. Even if you're not a fan of the Dark Tower, pick this book up if you have not already done it. I mean, being someone that has read the Dark Tower cover to cover, all 7 books, this felt like it was written by Stephen King. Peter David does a great job with the scripting. All narration boxes are done by some character that he's created, who speaks the same way that all the other characters in the Dark Tower universe speak. It's a great friggin' book. I mean, we've got Roland, the gunslinger. This is a tale of his youth, how he became a gunslinger by challenging his teacher. You basically, as an apprentice or as a student, you go through this very rigorous training program. And when you feel you're ready to become a gunslinger, basically you challenge the teacher. In this case, the teacher is Court. And if you can make him yield, then dang it, you're a gunslinger. And if he kicks your ass, well, then you are exiled, never to return and see any of your family and friends again. Roland, of course, succeeds by using a hawk named David as his weapon of choice, which really kind of throws Court off and kind of kicks old Court's butt. And so this ends with him becoming a gunslinger, and dang it, it's just a great book. It's beautifully illustrated. I mean, this is the best work I have seen Jay Lee ever done, and colors by Richard Eisenove just really bring this book to life. If you are not picking this book up, there is something wrong with you, frankly. Pick it up, because until Madman comes out, Madman's really going to have to do well to beat out Dark Tower as my top book of the year. And we're only into February, people, so those are my picks. Norman, Gary, thanks for taking the time to have me on the phone here from the hospital. Looks like the nurse wants to come in and change my IV, so I need to get going. But I will be back next week.
Good to hear.
For the normal wackiness that tends to happen here at Just Another Fanboy.
Wackiness.
So I leave you all in the capable hands of Norman and Gary. God, I hope they're capable.
We are capable.
So I'll see you all next week.
Don't worry.
Norman, Gary.
Thanks, man.
Have a good time.
Thanks, buddy. It's good that we could have Steeven come on like this. I was really happy to
Yeah, it's nice to hear.
to be able to talk to Steve again. I've talked to him a couple times.
I haven't.
But it's nice to be able to include him in the show this week, even though he's laid up in the hospital. Thank you to Norman.
Whatever.
So I guess, Norman, we should move on to some listeners' feedback then, okay?
Okay.
All right then.
Well, let's do it then. Kick that music.
Okay, first off the bat here, we have one email that we received by Chris Parton from comicaddiction.com, and he just simply says, in regards to episode number 25, oh my God, they killed Steeven.
What? Dang it. He's not dead, people. I mean, you should know that now because you just heard him from the hospital, but he is not dead. He is alive and kicking, and he will be back next week. So let's just drop it, okay? All right, well, I'm going to move on. I'm going to do the next one. This is from Comic Timing's Ian Levinstein. He does that Comic Timing podcast, and this is from the Just Another Fanboy forum over at the Geek Speak boards at cgspodcast.com/forum. And in regards to episode number 25, he says, listening to it now and great stuff so far. Nice interaction between you and your wife. Brings a great back and forth to the show. And just to let you know, I'm 23 years old from good old Brooklyn, New York. And it's speakgeekspeak.com/comic timing.
Well, that Ian Levinstein sure is a nice guy.
He sure is.
And maybe one day we can get that, high-speed internet and the Skype thing that everybody's always talking about. Yeah. Maybe one day he can be on our show.
That'd be
or maybe
neat.
we can be on his. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? No, that'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd
okay,
be neat.
well, I'll read the next one. This also comes from the message boards. It is also in regards to episode number 25, and it's from DaFixer3000, and he says, I liked her commentary, that's in regards to Steven's wife. I liked her commentary about how it sometimes feels like she's competing with another love. Comic books aren't bad. They're just drawn that way. My wife could tell you about the amusing time when it was comics or food, and I was about to go into gladiator competition to have it my way. Yes, we got food, like I really was gonna win. My LCS spotted me on that week's books after I upped a pint of blood in my left arm for collateral. My wife said it made me look like a spy that's seen action. Anywho, she is a great addition to the show, even if she does not understand that superheroes are real if you look at them from an existential point of metaphysical view. The other side has to have their view represented too, don't they? I'm just saying.
I guess so. I guess you're just saying I'm just saying. Anyway, I'll do the next one here. This is from, also from the message board. It's from Comic Addict, who I believe is Chris Parton. Says, Steven, episode 25 is probably my favorite episode to date. My wife's hating it because I've done nothing but talk about it since Friday when I got a chance to listen to it. I think I listened to it twice now and I keep talking to her about it. FYI, her name is Karen. And now I'm on the warpath to get her to read at least one comic book. Keep up the awesome work. Well, those were some nice words there. So that's all we have with the listeners' feedback, and I guess we'll just move along with the show for news and information you could have easily gotten for yourself with just a little effort.
This week's news and information you could have easily gotten for yourself with just a little effort is brought to you by the iFiend, the first ever fully functional caffeine IV drip for the office environment.
Hello, folks. Deliberate Jones here for the caffeine IV drip. I used to fall asleep at my desk a lot at work. I never seemed to be able to get anything done. Well, thanks to the iFiend, I'm working faster than the flash on crack. I may not get anything done correctly, but dang it if I don't get it done. Just the other day, the boss wanted me to file some papers for the corporate office, and all I had to do was walk down a flight of steps to the filing room. But then all these colors started flashing in my line of sight, and Gil Gerard drove in wearing pink stretchy pants, and I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
The iFiend, because doing your job like a crazed monkey is better than not doing your job at all. Now, we don't have a lot of news for you this week, but we'll just tell you what we got. First of all, Marvel Civil War tie-ins solicitations declassified on Newsarama. Now, if you've looked at the solicitations for the months following when Civil War has ended, all of the tie-in type books such as Captain America and the new Avengers and whatnot have all shown classified amongst the solicitation text. But if you run over to Newsarama, they will spoil it for you. I didn't read it myself because I don't like to be spoiled, but if you want to go over there and get yourself spoiled, well, head on over to newsarama.com to get that spoiled. So, Norman, I guess you can do the next one.
All right, well, also on Newsarama, they've got the solicitations for the new DC Countdown. This is issues, 51 through 48. And for those not in the know, issue number 51 of DC Countdown starts the very week after 52, and then the week after that'll be 50, and it's counting down. So what we got here, the breakdowns for these issues will be by Keith Giffen. 51 is written by Paul Dini with art by Jesus Saez. Number 50 is written by Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray with art by Jim Calafiore. Number 49 is written by Tony Bedard, art by Carlos Magno. And number 48 is written by Adam Beechin with art by David Lopez. Covers by Andy Kubert and Tim Townsend. The event of the year is here. This brand new year-long weekly series features a cast of hundreds where anything goes. With head writer Paul Dini and a rotating team of some of the industry's best writers and artists, Countdown will serve as the backbone of the DCU in 2007. When a character dies in Countdown 51, it sets off an unexpected ripple that will touch virtually every character in the DC universe. The countdown is on, so begins the end. Yeah, whatever. I mean, each one of these issues are $2.99. Now, 52 was only $2.50, so you know what?
That's a
I think
shame.
I'm skipping this one. What about you, Garrett? All right, well, let's skip it.
I'm skipping it too.
Let's get on with what's coming out on DVD.
Okay, well, out on DVD this week, we've got Family Ties Season 1. That is a 4-disc set, Flushed Away, and The Three Stooges, Hapless Halfwits. So, that was this week's news and information you could have easily gotten for yourself with just a little effort. And, well, speaking of movies, I guess we should move on to my main segment of the show, At the Movies, with Gary, Indiana. Well, hello, folks. As you know, it's Gary, Indiana, and this is At the Movies with Gary, Indiana. Now, instead of doing one of my regular reviews this week, I thought I would just go ahead and run down some of my top favorite comic book movies of all time. First up to bat, we've got Hellboy. This stars Ron Perlman as Hellboy himself, and this is a great flick. This is a very good adaptation of Mike Mignola's book from Dark Horse. And if you like the occult, if you like a little of the monsters and the creepy slimy things, then Hellboy is the movie for you. This is about a demon that is brought over into our world back during, I believe it is World War II, and he is brought over by some Nazis, but he is found by the American Army and a Professor Broom who works for the research and the defense of the paranormal. I can't remember the name of their group, but anyway, he is raised by them and goes to work for this group fighting monsters and the paranormal across the world. And Hellboy is basically looked upon as like a Sasquatch, where everybody, there's theories that someone like a Hellboy does exist, but the government hides the fact that Hellboy is around. And this was a very good movie. It really kind of told the point of view that it doesn't matter what kind of person you are born as, in this case, a demon from hell. It all depends on how you are raised, because Hellboy is a demon from hell, but being raised by these fine people, he grows up to be a fine man or demon, as it were, and he even falls in love, and a woman falls in love with him. It was very nice. Next up, what I'd like to talk about is, well, Batman Begins. Batman Begins, it stars Christian Bale as Batman, and this movie made me forget that some guy named Tim Burton ever made any Batman movies. As far as I'm concerned, this is the Batman movie. This is kind of like a year one Batman, where we see Bruce Wayne go into training to become the Batman, and how he comes up with the concept of dressing up as a bat to scare criminals in Gotham City. And he is trained by Ra's al Ghul and his group of ninjas, and they end up coming to Gotham to destroy the city, and Batman has to take them out, and he's got a really cool car. So Batman Begins, one of my top favorite comic book movies. And then last on the list would be, well, it's kind of hard to pick between Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, but Spider-Man 2 is up there. Well, first, we'll just go with Spider-Man 1 first. The first Spider-Man movie, because dang it, when I went and saw this movie, I felt like I was reading the comic book. I mean, this movie was amazing. This had Spider-Man swinging through the city and fighting the Green Goblin, and it was really good. But Spider-Man 2 is really kicked it up a notch, where he does battle with Dr. Octopus. Now, it may have its naysayers, but dang it if it just wasn't a great flick, because the special effects were good, and the story was really good, and the only fault I could give for either two Spider-Man movies is that Spider-Man just isn't in it as much as he could be. But in Spider-Man 2, Peter Parker has a kind of a relapse. He decides he doesn't want to be Spider-Man anymore. He's starting to have doubts. And because of this, he starts to lose his powers. And he realizes he comes to the conclusion that dang it, he don't need to be Spider-Man. He doesn't have to shoulder this responsibility. And so he gives up. He says, Spider-Man, no more. And he throws his costume away. But when the Dr. Octopus, who works, the Harry Osborn, whose daddy was Green Goblin, and Harry thinks that Spider-Man has killed Green Goblin, he has something that Dr. Octopus wants. So he makes a bargain with him. If you want this piece of whatever, this doohickey, whatchamacallit, then you gotta bring me Spider-Man. So Doc Ock goes out to find Spider-Man, but what he finds is Mary Jane Watson, who is, Peter Parker's love interest. And when he kidnaps her, Peter all of a sudden realizes that what he needs to be is Spider-Man, and his powers come back, and he commences throwing a whooping down on Dr. Octopus. So probably my favorite comic book movie of all time would be Spider-Man 2. That is until Spider-Man 3 comes out, because that movie is gonna be sweet. So that was At the Movies with Gary, Indiana, and I guess we need to wrap the show up, and we'll move along to The View from Norman, Oklahoma. So let me try to do this like Steeven always does it. The View from Norman, Oklahoma, a weekly segment in which our resident bitter old fanboy pisses and moans regarding the state of the comic book industry and just about anything that generally pisses him off. Ladies and gentlemen, Norman, Oklahoma.
Norman, Oklahoma here, and you know what really pisses me off? DC Countdown, that's what pisses me off. Let me tell you why. For the past, almost a year now, I have been buying every book of 52. and it has very much dented my wallet. And I have been looking forward to the end of this so I could drop 4 books a month. But no, they got to come up with this DC countdown. Now, I know I've been reading a lot of people on the internet have been talking about they're going to pick this book up, but here's my feelings behind it. I think this book is doomed to failure, and let me tell you why. Well, 52 had a gimmick. Okay? This was the first weekly comic book series in a great long while, and it was tied to Infinite Crisis. So it was tied to a big event. And its selling point was that it was only going to be a year long. So everybody knew getting into this, yeah, great, I'm going to have to pick up 4 more books a month, but hey, I only got to do it for a year, and once it's over, and I'll be satisfied. But now they're trying to do it again with DC Countdown. Well, it's going to be doomed to failure as far as I'm concerned, because, well, it worked the first time, but that don't mean it's going to work the second time. People, come on, Dan, diddy dibble libino. Think about it. Get your head out of your rear end for a second. I mean, it's bad enough you're killing off all my favorite characters over there in DC and driving off my friend Craig. You know, he ain't buying no DC books anymore because of that, because you killed off the Question and you killed off Ted Cord, and you may be bringing him back later, but dang it, knock it off. And well, that's all I got to say about DC Countdown. It's got my back hair sticking up something fierce when I think about it, because hell, I'll probably pick it up anyway. I think that's what really pisses me off, is that they're gonna get me to buy it, and I don't want to buy it. Dang it! I ain't got no control over it. But I don't know. You know what else pisses me off? I'll tell you. Steeven pisses me off. I mean, what? Is he some kind of wussy boy? He can't take a bullet and be a man about it and come back the very next day laughing and smiling? I mean, come on. I've taken 6 bullets to the chest before, and I'm still here talking. I laughed it off like it was nothing, like it was a squirrel bite. I took it. Darn it.
Come here. I'm putting you in a headlock, Norman. Come here. You're getting out of here. You're out of here. Get out of here. Move along, buddy. Move along. Good golly gosh almighty. Norman ain't got no sympathy for nobody. So I guess we should end the show. Normally this is where we'd have us some bloopers, but, well, frankly, the whole show was just one big blooper, weren't it? Weren't it, though? So I guess we'll close it up. I can tell you how you can spread a little bit of the Just Another Fanboy love. Well, you can write us an email at justanotherfanboy@gmail.com, and, well, tell you how you, just tell us how you like the show. You know, good or bad, it don't matter. We're probably gonna read it anyway. You can also leave us a voicemail at 1-877-309-8367, extension 212. And you can do like all those crazy fans out there are saying lately, and that is, I like eggs. 'Cause, you know, frankly, who doesn't like eggs? It's nature's drop of love, as far as I'm concerned. You can also go, we have a page up at comicspace.com. You can find that at www.comicspace.com/just_another_fanboy. Come on over there and, well, be one of our friends, cause we like friends, and that's a way for you to find out when new episodes are up, and you know, if you don't want to go to the comic space, that's fine, you know, but if you want to be notified of new episodes, well, write in to justanotherfanboy@gmail.com and put in the subject line, Just Another Fan of the Show, and we'll add you to our mailing list. And when a new episode comes up, well, dang it, we'll just email you and tell you all about it. Now, the theme song for this show is Comic Book by the Super
Tell them about the Comic Podcast Network.
All right, I'll tell them, Norman.
Tell them.
Yeah, we are a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network. Find that at comicspodcasts.com. Okay?
Okay.
All right, whatever. Okay, the theme song for the show is Comic Book by the Super Spies. Find it and information about the band at garageband.com. The rest of the music from this week's episode comes from the Pod Show Podsafe Music Network at music.podshow.com. And for Steeven, until next week, I'm Gary, and I'm just another fanboy.
I tell you, I ain't doing this again. I mean, the nerve of Steeven taking a week off and
you shot him.
Hospital room,
But you shot
us
him.
come in here.
What? You're the one who shot him.
Oh, shut up, Gary.
Whatever.
Kiss ass.
Whatever.
Jessica, 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 just like comic book, just like comic book, just like comic book, just like a comic book. Walking down the dark streets, don't know where I am. Make a movie, take the time to really understand. Shadows move out of sight, spin around to look at that. Now he's gone, shadow move, just like comic book, just
Bye-bye, Daddy.
Bye-bye, Daddy.
Good job.
Get well soon, Steven. I'll miss you, buddy.